More than just the state capital, Sacramento is known as a farm-to-fork capital as well. But do you ever think beyond the fruits and vegetables? What about your meat? Two former chefs are looking to change that. Dave Menacherry introduces us to the two men who left behind the kitchen for the butcher's block.
It's a little over, is that right?
What's inside this Midtown store?
Everything we do is fresh. And, people seem to be really catching on.
Is fresh cuts of meat, the kind you see before they end up on your dinner plate.
Things are going well, yeah. I don't want to use the word worked out yet because it's still a work in progress.
The story behind this store, V. Miller Meats, begins in the kitchen.
I started out as a skier, and that doesn't pay very well.
After his dream of skiing went downhill, shall we say, Eric Veldman Miller decided to study the culinary arts.
So I went to culinary school and started a career path to becoming a chef, and I was fortunate to work at a lot of great restaurants, with a lot of great chefs and a lot of great people.
Eric worked in prestigious kitchens like Mulvaney's, eventually teaching at Le Cordon Bleu, until he wanted to start a family.
I didn't want to go back into a restaurant. I didn't really want to teach anymore.
Inspiration came visiting family back east when he stepped into this butcher shop in Brooklyn.
And I literally spent probably 5 hours standing with the guy, the butcher, while he was working, I was just like one of those little kids, like, what's this, what's this, what's this? It just clicked in my head that I was like, we can do this back home. We have farms. We have people that are really interested in eating local. We have, there's a huge national interest in eating good meat again. And especially locally sourced meat, especially meat that you know where it comes from and how that animal is treated.
It's an idea that takes farm to fork through your whole table.
You can go and you can get the freshest carrots down the road, and you can get, celery in the peak of the season, whatever it is, at all the multiple farmers markets, and it's readily available. But then you're like, oh, and then there's that one lowly beef farmer over standing in the corner, and all his products are frozen, and they're really high quality, because he's raising them right, but it's to a point where it's frozen, or it's unavailable, or it's once a week.
Eric trained with a butcher in Massachusetts, but training simply wasn't enough.
It was very apparent to me really early on, while I was like page 1 of the business plan, that I was going to need some help.
Which is where Eric's partner, Matt Azevedo, who also taught at Le Cordon Bleu, came in.
Running restaurants, neither Eric or I had a chance to kind of do what we really enjoyed. I never got to make sausage. I was always busy kind of overseeing things and making sure the wheels didn't fall off.
They found the location, put up a sign, and spent a year and a half researching farms.
We wanted to shoot for within 150 miles, and right now nothing's from further than 100 miles.
Farms whose names adorn the walls of V. Miller Meats.
We actually have one beef in our cooler right now that is, I guess, hyper local. It's from a ranch out right off the Garden Highway. From Nick's Ranch, you can actually see Arco Arena.
But more than locally sourced, nothing is ever frozen, and you know where everything from sausage to sirloin comes from.
Hot dogs are notorious for what's in them. Nobody really knows, but we know what's in them, and we know where it came from. We've vetted these farms for a year and a half, 2 years while we were planning the shop.
Meaning V. Miller Meats uses the whole animal, butchered and displayed.
We opened right before Thanksgiving. I had nightmares for months before that we were going to open the doors and nothing was going to happen.
I think it kind of started as, how are we going to get people in the door? And then it became, how are we going to keep up with how many people are going to be coming in the door?
We got an allotment of 30 turkeys and we sold them in a day and a half.
It was a total flip-flop of anxiety, but it was anxiety nonetheless, but it actually worked out pretty good.
And in 3 months, V. Miller has had a steady stream of customers.
I just like to deal with small local businesses.
Like John Fitzpatrick from Rancho Cordova. Were you looking for a butcher shop specifically, or?
Yes.
Probably hard to find.
There are not many. I mean, he's competing with Cordy, but I prefer business here.
All of it through word of mouth, Facebook, and Instagram, the new marketing frontier for an old-style shop with a very neighborhood feel.
And it's really, I find rewarding to be able to talk to the customers about the best way to cook the meats and the best way to treat them to get the most out of them. And I think that's something you don't get to do in the restaurant business.
So now people come in, they're like, oh, let me check this out. We'll come back. And the really cool thing is that they do.
In Sacramento, Dave Manocheri for Common Ground.
Eric Veldman Miller says he's one of only 33 butcher shops left in the country with locally sourced whole animal butchering. V. Miller Meats is in Midtown Sacramento, open Tuesday through Sunday.